Okay, Jolie here for Title Sports Network. Teddy Atlas joining me here after a wonderful night, 5v5. Surprisingly so, it was 10-0 to Queensberry in the end. 10-0 to Queensberry in the end. What did you make of tonight, Teddy?
The more experienced promoter won, Frank Warrens. They're both great promoters. They've done great jobs, but the more experienced guy won. Experience is great, you know, and of course if you have the right horses in your stable, that's even better, you know. But no, it was terrific. It was good fights, and it was important fights. So once again, the sport benefits from it, the fans benefit from it. And the last fight, it finished the way you would want a night like this to finish, with a big bang, you know. And I'm sure that the Chinese fans are very happy with that.
Yeah, for sure. It was bittersweet because obviously one of the greats, I feel like, of this era, Deontay Wilder, went out there losing by stoppage. It feels sad to say, but this could really be one of the last straws for Wilder.
I don't know if it's sad. God bless him. He's made a lot of money. He can take care of his family, and now if he decides to retire, which, you know, you could make an argument that he should definitely consider it, but that's his decision. But if he decides to retire, what would be sad is if he never made money. For all that he's been through, all that any fighter goes through, the risks they take to get in that ring, that would be sad if he didn't have money, but he's got money. And he's got 7 beautiful kids, from what I understand, and he can take care of them. And he's still got his health. So, you know, at the end of the day, he's had a good career. He's been champion of the world. That's not sad, you know. Now it's just a matter of him deciding what he needs to do. And retirement would probably make sense. And he's been very honest about it. He said it, you know, at the podium yesterday. He said, if I lose, I'd probably retire, or at least I have to consider it in a very serious way. And that's responsible by him. And again, I don't see anything said. The end comes for everything, and for everybody at some point. And again, there's been fighters where at the end they've never been able to achieve the things to take care of their family that they wanted to achieve. The reason why they took the risk to go into that dangerous chamber of truth. So he's achieved that. So in a way, we should be happy for him that he's achieved that and that he's had a great career.
I've watched your stuff for a long while, Teddy, and I remember there was a point when you were doing a lot of UFC content, a lot of MMA, and boxing wasn't in the position it is now. From someone who's been in boxing for so long, a veteran in that respect, how good is it to see back even better than the UFC at times? Because I know you were saying there was times where the UFC...
You can't knock the UFC. Their brand is tremendous. No, the UFC brand, they've built a tremendous... Dana White and the Creators Brothers, they have built they should do class 101 on how to build a brand. They've built a tremendous brand and a tremendous fan base. They're great and they're tremendous. But quite frankly, boxing has been suffering. It has become less relative as a sport, as a great sport, as a sport that's been around longer than any other sport. And it's been suffering. Why? Because the fans haven't been getting really the fights that they want. And then somebody named Turkey Al-Sheikh came along, and he's revived the sport. He has. He's like a doctor. Who would have thought we'd get a doctor to help boxing from the Middle East? Where he's come along and he's given a patient what is needed. It needed the best guys fighting the best fights to make the fans happy and to make the sport healthier. And you know what? He has made the sport healthier. It's more relative now than it's been in a long time. I remember the 80s when boxing was really, really healthy. And why? Well, 3 reasons. One, you had network television, that helped, free TV. But the other reason, you had generational talent. You had great fighters. And it almost made you think, and I was guilty too, I'll be honest, where you said, oh, we don't have great fighters anymore around. Wrong. We have great fighters in this era too, right now. The problem was we didn't recognize it as much as we did in the 80s because you didn't have the best fighting the best. To be a great fighter, you know what you need? You need, besides talent, the obvious, you need another great fighter to bring your greatness out. And once that started happening, now everyone's recognized we got a lot of great fighters today. And that, again, Turkey Out shit came along and started putting the best fighters, like the 80s. The best fight. The 80s was so great. You had Roberto Duran, you had Tommy Hearns, you had Marvin Hagler, you had Sugar Ray Leonard, all that. But you had them fighting each other. And then they could show how great they were. Now you're getting the best guys again, fighting each other. Not a complicated formula. And it's working.
Just to finish off then, what sort of content do you have planned? Are we going to be reacting to this, reacting to UFC tonight? What content can we expect from you, Teddy?
I didn't understand.
What content are you going to be putting out? What video content podcast have you got coming up, just to finish off?
Oh, thank you. Well, I got my podcast, The Fight with Teddy Atlas. It'll be coming up when I get back to the States. It'll be coming up on Tuesday. We'll be talking about this. 5 important fights and 5 good fights. And on the heels of a great show 2 weeks ago where you could have made an excuse for boxing. Said, take a break for a while, go down the seashore, hang out for a while. You gave us a great fight. You gave us a heavyweight unification fight. You could take a little rest. No, boxing didn't take a rest. The Turkey Out brought back 5 top fighters fighting each other, and it was a great show. 2 weeks after unifying the heavyweight title, the first time in 25 years. So we'll be talking about this, and we'll be talking about that show tonight on the UFC with Dustin Poirier and Makhachev, and the other great fights that are on there. All good fights.
Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.